Greetings, noble ones. Here we are back to talk about armor sets in Dark Souls. I noticed that you liked and I got a lot of views on the latest video that I made on one of the armors in Dark Souls. So today we are going to talk about Alva's armor because I think it's one of the most badass sets in the game Dark Souls 3. Alright, welcome back. So let's get to it immediately. Why did I choose this armor set? The reason why I chose this specific armor set is, first off, I was asked to talk about it by some subscribers, some of you. But secondly, it's really beautiful. I think it looks really cool, but it's interesting as well in a way. So let's historically evaluate it. Okay, so the first thing I think that we can consider is the helmet. So this is where the armor starts looking 16th century, the helmet. The helmet really reminds me of a tournament helmet of the 16th century. In fact, I do have a similar helmet, not exactly the same, but a similar concept that I'd like to show you, which is this one here. Now, the helmet that I've just showed you is specifically a 16th century helmet, but it's a helmet used for tournament and on foot. So it's for foot combat. So this sort of helmet here, it kind of reminds me of foot combat of the 16th century, and there is some fluting in it, so I would definitely say German in style. Now, what's not really German is the huge, massive pauldron that he's got on the left. That's more Italian as an approach to armor. But what I find interesting is the torso protection. Now, this is definitely a panziera, meaning a placket. Now, a placket is already a 15th century kind of technology, but it's normally used in conjunction with a breastplate, and it was used in order to give you not only a double layer protection, because you need to imagine that behind the part of the placket that reaches this area, there would already be the breastplate, so you would have a double layer protection in the very core center of your armor. But the fact that it would be two separate pieces, breastplate and placket, would allow you complete mobility of the torso, which you would lose if it were a complete solid element all the way up to your hips. But he doesn't seem to be wearing a breastplate underneath. Now, this is a little odd, to be honest. I don't know why they chose this, and also I wonder what he's wearing underneath. It looks like textile. We can't really see it very well because he's wearing a mantle, and in fact, because of the fact he's wearing a mantle, we don't even know if he does have a right pauldron. I would imagine he's got a right pauldron which is smaller in size, because otherwise, if it was as big as the one on the left, then we would see it. It would, you know, the mantle would be all the way up here, the cape that he's wearing. But you know, I don't think he's wearing nothing there. I think he's wearing at least a smaller pauldron, which again, asymmetry in pauldron, northern Italian style. So the question is he wearing just a gambeson underneath? Is that what that textile sort of armor that we see here is? Or is it like similar to the concept of the brigandine, or perhaps other kinds of armor which has a textile shell, which could be leather, for example, but underneath it's got plates, similar to the coat of plates? Well, I think that the second one would be more plausible if this was reality. So it could be that it's a little bit of a mixed set, not really something that happened, you know, a placard on top of a brigandine. I've never seen it, but I think it would make more sense, because otherwise it would mean that you would have basically no protection, or very thin protection. Because again, yeah, gambeson is a good protection, but it's no solid plate protection to protect your chest, your lungs and your heart. Makes no sense. So I think it's better to imagine it to be some sort of coat of plates that he's wearing, or some sort of brigandine. Then if we go further down, we see that he has got again, part of the armor, the lower part of the armor, is covered by a sort of surcoat that he's wearing, although it seems like the surcoat is coming from underneath the placket. So again, it could be part of the protection that he's wearing here, and this could again make it even more similar to a coat of plates. Underneath it, we can still see on the right side he's wearing a because of the asymmetry of this character, we can see that he's wearing a full plate cuisse that is protecting his thigh, and then he has got pollains, so the protection for the knees. But he only has boots. He does have a little bit of armor on his feet. They look like sort of like half sabatons, but he has got nothing for his shin. How realistic is that, and how probable is that? Well, it's actually a possibility, because again, in Italy, some knights did not wear protection for their did not wear greaves. Again, this is not universal. Please keep in mind that even when we say Gothic armor, even when we say German armor, French armor, English armor, Spanish armor, Italian armor, there is a lot of variation, there are a lot of possibilities, but it is true that some Italian knights, they did not wear greaves with their full plate armor. So this is a possibility, and it's not completely out of the question. As far as the arms are concerned, well, it looks like it's got fully enclosing arm protection. He's got upper cannons in the 15th century style. Then he's got the elbow piece, really big, but they're both the same size, I think. And that is a little strange, because he's got a symmetry on the pauldrons, which is again the Italian style. And in the Italian style, the left elbow piece would be bigger than the right elbow piece, and that's just for functionality and mobility of the arms and the different purposes that your sides of the body have. Your line of defense is the left, you need more armor. This arm instead is the one operating your weapon, and this is why you need a little bit less armor and therefore less protection in order for it to be more nimble and easier to use. In his case, instead the elbow pieces seem to have the same dimension, which is a little strange in a set which already has a symmetry. For the hands, again, we are sort of going back, because regardless of the fact that the helmet looks 16th century, the gloves, the gauntlets, look like hourglass gauntlets, and they are 15th century, if not late 14th century gauntlets. Whereas probably it would have been, not that they never really completely went out of fashion, but in the 16th century it was more common to use mittens because they provided more protection. At the end of the day, a mitten has got solid protection for your fingers. These ones have individually articulated fingers, which yes, give you more mobility, so it could be it's easier to perform fine tasks. So it could have been his choice. At the end of the day, this is not completely anachronistic, but it would give him a lot less protection. And considering the fact he has chosen a lot of protection, considering his big pauldron on the left, and considering the fact that his elbow pieces are very large, it's kind of strange that he doesn't go he doesn't fully commit to protection and doesn't go for mittens. But it could also be that it's just his choice as a swordsman, or whatever weapon he uses, I don't remember. That he wants that sort of maneuverability of the arms and the hands for fighting. Okay, so this is basically for Alma's set, all I wanted to say about this set. I think it's a very cool set, I really like it. Please keep in mind that when I make these videos, regardless of the fact that I have a disclaimer saying that I'm not criticizing these games. I love these games. I think, of course, I understand that there is design here, that there is artistic representation, and I'm not going against that at all. These are just opportunities for us who are interested in historical armor and the way it functioned, to look at these games and use these games as a tool for learning and studying. I am not criticizing, but for some reasons every time I make a video like this, people write down, "It's a game, shut up you idiot, what are you talking about, don't you understand it's just a video game?" I know, it's a game. It's just that my community and in fact these sort of comments don't come from my community, it's just for people who come here for the first time. My community and I love these games, and we enjoy using these opportunities to also learn history, so that when we look at armor sets, which are clearly inspired from historical real sets that were used by warriors and knights here in Europe, then we can recognize them, and we can use these opportunities to increase our knowledge and understanding of how armor works. This is not an attack to the game developers, and it's not an attack to the game itself. It's a fantasy lore, it's a fantasy setting, and you, as far as I'm concerned, you can cover them in feathers and send them to war against gunpowder. It doesn't matter, it's a fantasy setting. This is just an opportunity to learn having fun. Okay, well, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content from the Metatron. And remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Goodbye.